very good. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for the invitation to join you today. Also wanted to say thanks to Nick and Jorge. On the occasions when we have needed technical support, they've been very helpful to us here at ORU. So I thought I would start by just introducing the school a little bit. Oral Roberts University is a private Christian school. It was founded in 1965. Our mission statement is to develop spirit-empowered leaders through whole-person education to impact the world. And this is just a modern version of the original vision statement that Oral Roberts issued when the university was founded. Fall of 2021, our total enrollment was 4,700. We have students at ORU from all 50 states and from 126 nations. We have over 100 undergraduate majors and 25 grad and doctoral programs here. ORU has been an Accudemia customer since the fall of 2012. And our use cases here at ORU are probably at least started a little differently than I think most Accudemia customers. When we found Accudemia, we were in search of a platform that we could use for attendance tracking, class attendance, but specifically at ORU, we have twice weekly chapel services with required attendance. And we have had pretty good methodologies in place to take that attendance for our residential students. But we had a population of about 600 commuter students and graduate students that we needed a good solution to be able to track attendance for them. So we found Accudemia, looked at the product, realized it was primarily designed for scheduling appointments and managing tutoring centers and the like, but that it would be very useful for us as well to manage attendance. So our initial usage was attendance only, so scheduled attendance for twice weekly chapel services. And one of the things we really liked was the iAccu app on the Apple iPod Touches. That physical platform gave us the flexibility to capture attendance anywhere, frankly. But to be very mobile, to reconfigure how we captured attendance for different types of events or in different locations. Prior to that, we had been using our Blackboard Transact card readers, which were, fixed installation. The students would swipe their ID cards, but we didn't have a lot of flexibility with that system. It gathered the transactions, but it didn't give us a way to track the individual students. It was just raw data collection. So Accudemia gave us the tools to manage the attendance, to report on it. Our initial usage, again, was for chapel attendance. We, shortly thereafter, started using it for class attendance for our large lecture classes. We have a single class, which basically all of our freshmen are enrolled in. This current semester, it's over 700 students. So if you could imagine trying to capture attendance efficiently for 700 students as they walk into the class. We use about 8 of the Accudemia readers in Christ Chapel to accomplish that. Now we have 16 total on campus that we use in different locations, different areas. So over time, we expanded this out into some smaller and smaller classes. So we'll use Accudemia for lecture classes anywhere from 50 students on up to 500, or plus the 700 student class that I mentioned. And as we started looking around, we realized that Accudemia had a lot more valuable capabilities for us than just class attendance for these large sessions. So we were able to go into our Eli Center, which is part of our athletic department, and we replaced their proprietary homegrown tracking system, and we're able to service that with Accudemia very easily. We're using a computer sign-in station there. Our College of Business uses it for non-scheduled events. They require their students to accumulate a certain number of professional development points through the semester. And those might be club meetings or other special events, special speakers, but they're not on a predictable schedule. So we didn't treat those like classes, but we just do center attendance, and whatever location, we take the portable readers there, capture the attendance, and then the College of Business reports on that. Uh, Likewise, the College of Education uses the system. Each semester, they have 2 or 3 different education seminars that their students are required to attend. So they'll use the readers to capture that attendance. We also use it in the last couple of years. We have faculty meetings with the president, a monthly faculty meeting, and we're using Accudemia now to capture attendance for that as well. So over time, though, we recognized that the primary use case for Accudemia was really doing appointment scheduling, appointments managing, and tutoring centers. So we started looking at opportunities there. And at the time, we had different areas were kind of managing their own tutoring. The math department had their tutoring program. The chemistry department did their own thing. So we have consolidated that now over the last year or so into the campus-wide academic tutoring center, which manages tutors for all of the different subject areas. The one thing that's kind of unique about ORU is that we don't have a physical tutoring center location, especially since we're managing this for different departments. We kind of have these virtual tutoring locations. So it might be in the coffee shop, it might be in the lobby of one of the dormitories, it might be in a classroom or in the computer lab. So Accudemia, though, was able to help us kind of facilitate that. And it kind of ties into the previous presentation that we would use email reminders to send the notifications to the tutors and the students. And we would also then use the notes to be able to communicate the location information to reinforce that if it's a math, we're going to meet in the computer lab. If you're for chemistry, we're going to be on the 5th floor of the library. So that was one nice discovery that Accudemia was able to adapt to this locationless kind of virtual tutoring center and still help us managing it. Other areas here at the university, probably our biggest use area now outside of the tutoring center is our student success department. They use Accudemia kind of in a hybrid mode. They use it to schedule appointments. They also use it to manage walk-in appointments. And one of the other great things with Accudemia for us at ORU during the pandemic, of course, was the implementation and the integration with Zoom, so that we were able to keep these services available to our students as we moved into a distance learning mode and then in a hybrid learning mode. So we find ourselves now that we've been on campus now really for the last 3 semesters completely, but we still use the Zoom appointments because it's convenient for some students. It's convenient for some tutors.
But I didn't know.
We also use that to support our online students as well, who may never come to campus, but they can still have the same level of access to the Student Success Center or to the tutoring centers. I didn't prepare any slides today, and I'm hoping to leave some time for Q&A.
Okay.
I really wanted to make this a little more interactive.
Yeah.
Some other areas, I guess there's some really kind of unique ways we use Accudemia here at ORU. Our writing center is our Comp 101 students. In the past, they've had to take it's a 3-hour class. They would have 1 hour in class and then 2 hours that they had to schedule in the writing center. So it was a course requirement, but they could pick the time. And we were able to use Accudemia to facilitate that. Another interesting use case was for our campus fun run. The Health Physical Education Department would sponsor this, and it's not a timed event, but we wanted a way to capture, who crossed the finish line. So we were able to take the IACU app on the devices out into the field and capture those. Our career services department, every semester they host or they participate in an event called Suit Up, which is held at the local JCPenney's out on the mall. and it's an opportunity for the students to come out and update their business wardrobe with significant discounts. And so all of the area schools will be there, and we just have to validate that the people coming in are our students. But there's also a little competition to see what schools have the most kids show up. And from a technology standpoint, there's another little competition there between the different schools to look at the technology that we're using to capture that information, whether it's a sign-in list or a laptop. And frankly, the other schools were jealous when we would walk in with the iAccu app on these iPods or on my phone, and you'll be swiping the kids in, and they're like, "Wow, that's cool." It's easy, it's mobile. So I could do that event with a couple of readers and then just my iPad to monitor it. So
Mhm.
great, cool tool, very flexible for us. Other areas on campus, we just use it to manage waiting lines, financial aid, student employment, just to handle the walk-ins. Um, but that's kind of our journey. We've been using the product now for 10 years, and we found a lot of different use cases where this same platform could help us out. So if you have
Yeah.
any questions, any comments, I would certainly be open to answering some questions.
Yeah. If anybody does have any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself or again, put that in the chat. I do. How long were you using Academia before you started for the chapel before you started expanding it?
It was probably we used it for a complete year, just chapel only, and then we started adding on the large lecture classes. It was
Mhm.
logical. They actually met in the Christ Chapel building auditorium. But after about 3 years is when we really started to explore the tutoring and appointment scheduling type functions in
Mhm.
academia.
And how was it to scale it up like that? Were there any challenges, or was it pretty smooth?
Really pretty smooth once I learned, what the configuration points. Really, the challenge was each department wanted something slightly different.
Right.
They wanted to present it a certain way, or they wanted different rules or different time, acceptable time periods for their engagements. But fortunately, the configurability of the product is there, so it was easy to go in. Okay, what do you want to do here in the writing
Yeah.
center? The
Yeah.
writing center was probably the most challenging one.
Mm.
And one of the and I know Nick and I have talked about this. One of the biggest challenges we have is here at ORU, for whatever reason, from the beginning, our classes start at 7:50 a.m., 8:50, 9:50, and the time grid in academia kind of assumes top of the hour, quarter hour. So that's the only kind of challenge that's been ongoing, that we've never really been able to tweak that. So we'll tell our kids on the calendar it says the session starts at 9:15, but at ORU our classes start at 9:20. So pick the one
Right.
that's closest. And once you explain it to the students, they get it. They're able to adapt to it. But that was the first kind of head scratcher. That's
Sure.
the only area where I really haven't felt like I could just get exactly what I wanted out of the product.
Right. Right. Well, it's good that you're giving that feedback. It's good that you were able to scale it and provide that consistency for students across campus. So now they know what to expect in any given location. Um, Lisa is asking, how many different academia centers do you use for all of these applications?
That's a good question. Let me just look over here. Because we've consolidated our tutoring centers into one, that count changed here recently. So I believe we're at around 10 right now. When we first joined academia, the number of centers was not limited. So we took advantage of that and had centers for everything just because we could. So now, though, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're at 10 centers right now.
Mhm. Okay. Any other questions for Ron? Nick or Jorge, do you have any questions? Lisa says thank you.
No, it's just really cool, like, every week that we have these, to see, like, the new ways that folks are exploring it. And
Yeah.
I remember setting up the chapel with you many, many years ago,
Mhm.
and, it's like, you know, then seeing how it could actually be, a broader use for like the distance learning and the hybrid learning modes that you're doing, the campus fun run, took that device out there, and that's the idea of it. It was supposed to be portable anyway, so it doesn't need Wi-Fi to work. So as long as you sunk it before you
Hmm.
left,
Yep.
uh, you've got all the information you need there. So really neat. I really enjoy listening to the
Yeah.
stories.
The fun run is probably the most interesting use I've heard of. It's really cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of those mornings were a little colder than I had hoped they would be. So
Oh no.
I was trying to figure out how to use the device while wearing gloves.
Right.
Um,
Um, Kim wants to know, do you use several specific services at the centers?
yes, it depends on the center. Some centers only have services. Some, the more traditional tutoring is more, they do tutoring and we just differentiate between in person and virtual. Other areas we're using services to kind of subdivide. One of our newest initiatives is the Academic Advising Center. And this is in conjunction with the Academic Tutoring Center, but it's a place where every week faculty members from every department will make themselves available for appointments or for walk-ins. And so it's not linked to a specific class or a specific service per se, but in some cases, somebody will just show up saying, I need help learning how to study, or I haven't declared a major yet, so I want to talk to somebody from biology. I want to talk to somebody from the comm arts department. And those people will just be available. And so in that case, the only way we could look at it and say, well, how am I going to differentiate between this and that, was I just set up each one of those uh, as a separate service. So the College of Business was a service in that center. And that only makes sense in that context. But again, the platform is so very flexible, so it allows you to take the tools that are available to you and shape them in such a way that when the student looks at it, it makes sense.
All
Yeah,
right.
and addition to the services, you can also do now. This is something we added was where you can have a global course, even so. Like you could say this is available to all students. So if you
Mm.
wanted to, go that route, you could do it through the
Yeah, I've always
courses.
used kind of a workaround for that, where I just created in my data import, I created a catch-all of all enrolled students as a course.
Right.
And so, for example, for the student success, their subject or that is the group of students that they are provisioned for. I found too for financial aid that I actually had to incorporate and start bringing in not just enrolled students, but I had to figure out a way to bring in students who were in the admission process, because they
Right.
would have questions for financial aid, but they had not completed enrollment yet. So whereas for attendance, I could limit it just to people who were enrolled. We had to kind of strategize on our end. So I created another course just called Admitted Students, that then I could make that available to the financial aid office, so that as these prospective students came in, they could still make an appointment.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering, Ron, are you using the appointment notes or the attachments that you can put in the appointments to give a record?
I don't think we've really been using the attachments much. I know the individual tutors, they'll use the notes field, especially if there's a change of location for a tutoring session, or just to confirm that. What the Academic Tutoring Center did also to kind of help that problem is they created a web page as kind of a primary landing page for all tutoring activities. And there they would say, okay, if you're in chemistry, click here. There'd be a little blurb. By the way, chemistry tutoring happens in this location. Now click this link to go to Accudemia to schedule your appointment. So we tried to front load ahead of time and say, this is your location. And then the tutors can reply back with a comment that says, hey, I'm going to meet you at the coffee shop, for this appointment. We're going to do it there in the lobby outside of the coffee shop, or whatever.